Ahoy there, Captain Benzie here, coming at you with another episode of Hard to Port, the series where I take a look at the various different mobile ports of classic video games. Today we're going to be looking at one of my favourites from when I was a kid, Worms 2 Armageddon. Now for those of you who don't know, because let's be honest, the Worms series is a lot more obscure nowadays than it used to be, Worms is a battler game. It's a multiplayer battling game where each player takes control of a team of earthworms, armed to the teeth with things like bazookas, machine guns, shotguns, dynamite, grenades, jetpacks, that kind of thing, and some really crazy weapons like banana bombs, holy hand grenades, and exploding sheep. And they go head-to-head against each other. Each player takes it in turns to move and fire with one of their worms, and ultimately the last team alive wins. Now, before we jump in, if you do enjoy this video, let me know by hitting a like on it, and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. And of course, let me know what content you would like to see in future, either for future episodes of Hard to Port, or just in general for various different mobile games. This channel is all about mobile gaming, and I'm always interested to find new games. So let me know what you're playing, either in the comment section down below, or by coming and finding me on the various different social media channels you can see along the bottom of the screen now. Alright, that said and done, let's jump into Worms 2 Armageddon. Now, what I like to do on this series is ultimately not really take this too seriously. I'm just going to jump into a game, talk about it whilst I'm playing, and if anything goes wrong, well, it just goes wrong. Now, normally under single player, you can create your own team. There is a full campaign in the game as well, where you kind of do missions and go up against enemy teams. But for this one, I'm just going to go into a quick match on normal difficulty. Now, for those of you who are familiar with Worms, this could just be an interesting little look at how this ports. For those of you who are brand new to the series, well, I'm going to be talking a lot about the game as well. So you can see the maps are procedurally generated, it adds in the background and all the theming. That line of water at the bottom, if a worm crosses that line, it dies instantly. You can see there are explosive barrels, there are landmines and all that being added into the map as we speak now, and it's going to be my turn first. I am the red team, and we're going up against the blue team. Now, you can, of course, pinch and swipe to zoom in and out. Tapping left on the screen and right on the very edges of the screen allow you to move, and double tapping your worm does a backflip, a single tap does a standard jump. Now I want to see if I can get out of this situation, because I don't really want to be down there with this guy next to an explosive barrel. So yes, I can. Let's have a look at the various different weapons I've got on offer here. I'm going to drop a grenade. We gently swipe the aiming reticle down, and of course you can change the power of the shot. You don't just tap to fire, you hold down however long you need, and you can change the fuse timer as well. I think a 3-second fuse timer is going to be enough. We're just going to chuck that down there. Perfect shot there. Boom, down he goes, and that explosive barrel goes with him. How much damage was that to Genghis? 45. Fairly solid hit there. I'm quite happy with that. Let's see what they're going to do next. Now, one thing is, I wish I could kind of have the sound on this one as well. Oh, he's going to use a bazooka. Just hits the ground, but the explosion will do some damage. I do wish I could have the sound on, because the worms do have some hilarious little quips at each other as the matches go on. Screams and things like, "You'll regret that," and all this kind of thing. It's great fun. As a party game, Worms is one of those games that you kind of have to play at least once in your life. It is just... it's gaming history, if nothing else. Now, I'm going to use a homing missile here, because I'm terrible with aiming bazooka shots. And because, let's be honest, that wind in the top left you can see is blowing left, I want to be shooting right. So I'm going to use a homing missile, I'm going to full power it right the way up, so it clicks into place, homes in, bang, off he goes, into the water, yes, into the water, huzzah, down he goes. That's a dead enemy worm. Woohoo! Now, as you play through the game, you do get these little supply crates parachute in as well, and the wooden ones have weapons, the blue ones have like things like jetpacks and ninja ropes, that kind of thing. You get health packs in here as well. This looks like a dynamite situation. Yep, but the enemy worm can't get away, so it's going to damage him too. Although, oh, not quite. I was about to say that's going to send me flying onto that landmine for some extra damage. Not quite, but there we go. Who am I up next? I'm all the way over here. Wind is not in my favour. I've got a load of landmines next to me. That's not a great place to be. Okay, let's have a look. What do I have in the way of weapons that could help me out here? You know what, let's do this old school fun style. We're going to use a jetpack and a stick of dynamite. So I'm going to gently hover over to this guy here. Hello. Have a stick of dynamite, and now I just need to get away from that, Take a nice safety point here, and oh, I fell off. But I am right next to an ammo thing for next turn. Oh, that's a lot of damage. Landed in the fire from that exploding barrel as well, and there's a couple of supply crates near me. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. Now, I have had a couple of problems playing this. Because of how the oh, bunker buster, ouch. Because of how the game takes jumping, you know, you tap on a worm once to jump forward, double tap to do an upwards backflip. There are times when I've gone to fire, or zoom, or aim, or things like that, and I've slightly mistapped and ended up jumping off a cliff. So there is a slight element of frustration, I'm not going to lie, talking about the jumping. Jump over the landmine there. Grab a banana bomb. Yay, I can showcase to you guys what a banana bomb is, which we're going to do now. So let's zoom right in there. Very bouncy. Grenade that we're going to just aim up there. There we go, happy. Oh dear, that's blown me up. That's blown me up spectacularly. The extra bombs hit me, then the landmine. That's a supreme amount of damage to me. I took more damage than my opponent did. Oops. Now, when a worm dies as well, as you see, they do blow themselves up, which means if you die next to another worm, you deal a small amount of damage to them. That can cause chain reactions. Certainly, if there are landmines nearby and things like that as well, you can send them flying. That was an Uzi or a machine gun from Genghis there onto Mike Green. Not very well aimed. I suppose they didn't want to use anything explosive at that point. Right, let's have a look at the arena. I could try a grenade shot there, but I'm going to showcase one of my favourite weapons in the game, the Super Sheep, because why not? Now, a sheep normally is just a little thing that bounces around and then explodes, but a Super Sheep allows you to actually fly and direct it straight into your opponent as well, because why not? Why wouldn't you have sheep that explode? And once you have sheep that explode, is the next logical step not to give it a Superman cape and make it fly? Yeah, my point entirely. Okay, let's see what the enemy team's going to do now. Here they come. Okay, he's going to teleport out of the way. He's grabbed himself a sheep from that supply crate. Teleport is an end of turn, though. You can't do something after a teleport. It takes your entire turn to do. Okay. Wind is in my favour for firing in. Hey, but it's going to be a long shot with anything, and there's all of my worms in the way. I kind of wish I'd saved onto that Super Sheep now. But okay, let's use an airstrike instead. That'll be enough to kill this guy. Let's bring it in from that angle. Incoming airstrike. Boom. Down he goes. That's a long fall damage, straight onto a load of fire as well from the exploding barrel, and then a landmine as well, and back onto the fire. Oof. Poor guy, 132 damage. Ouch. Oh, and we're going to get a replay of that. Now, you can't actually skip the replays, which can be a little bit annoying if you're going for this, but at the same time, it's kind of funny just to watch that in slow motion, see that I take him out, I send him flying, he lands on the exploded barrel flames at the bottom, he then gets hit with a landmine that causes him to bounce back onto those flames for extra damage. Oh, I feel so sorry for that poor little worm. Now, one of the things I've always, I never considered as a kid, but now I look back on it, why are the worms fighting? Why are earthworms fighting each other? What actually is the plotline and the storyline behind this? Is there a plotline and storyline behind this? I need to Google that later. Okay, let's see. Incoming supply crate. It's all the way over that side. It's not going to be his turn for a while yet. Let's see what the Warlords team do. And I think this one's pretty much in the bag for me, but you never know. Oh, Super Sheep. Oh, that's going to hurt as well, because that was an exploding barrel and then a lot of full damage. Yep. Down I go. Oof. It should be the worm on 40 health here that comes in next. Let's hope so, because that's going to be a nice easy end to the round for me. Yep, there we are. Let's zoom in. Let's have a look at my various different weapon options. Yeah, we're just going to go for a standard sheep, I think, this time. Just because we can. And boom. Hopefully that's enough to kill. Yep, 65 damage. Down goes Genghis. A little bit of damage to my own worm, but oh well. And that's round over. Round over. And that's ultimately the gameplay of Worms. As you can see, it's a lot of fun. It's very quick and easy to pick up. The mobile controls, for the most part, are pretty responsive and easy to use. My only problem is the fact that jumping is so easy to accidentally do, so you can be trying to zoom in or move the camera around and end up jumping off a cliff. But I do love at the end of the round you still get these bits of it in here, like Archibald was worm of the round, Archibald was a liability, apparently. Lordy Lordy was the longest survivor, Jimmy Oople was a coward, Champions was the most exciting, Warlords were the most useless, and Champions were the most accurate. So that's the basic game itself. Now, you'll see that it's got some coins in the bottom right here. Don't fret, this isn't microtransactions. The game itself costs, I think it's $4. What you've got here is, as you play the game, you earn coins, which you can use to buy other weapons for, like, access in custom modes. You can change, have extra forts for your battlefields. And the different gravestones that the worms leave when they die, you can set all those there, and different hats as well. Because if we go on to play, and under, I'm pretty sure it's under single player, or no, back out, sorry, under settings, we go to team settings, you can actually set your own team. Like here, I've got my gaming galleon team, you can see they all wear pirate hats. My fort is a pirate ship in the background, and the gravestone is a skull and crossed cutlasses. You can actually name your worms in the team as well. I've named mine Redwood, NetEase, and Superbit as the developers of the 3 main games I've been covering on this channel, CNC Rivals, Eve Echoes, and Armageddon. Ironically enough, NetEase seems to be really struggling in most matches I've done, but Redwood and Superbit seem to do pretty well. Again, you can see you can change the different like settings here. So if you just want to fancy the standard headstone, you can do, and all these different types of these. Let's go through various different gravestones. There are tons of these you can use, and as you've seen, there are more you can be unlocked. Different forts, just to give a different theme, like the T-Rex or the Trojan donkey. I don't know what it is with donkeys. And then finally, of course, you can change the pirate hats there. Sombreros, World War II Germans, sailor hats, bandanas, all kinds of crazy stuff here that I'm just going to scroll through super quickly and then come back to my pirate hats and the different voices as well. I wish I could actually give you these voices. As I said, they're hilariously funny voices. But you've also got like the backflips and the different celebrations here, whether they do the worm, whether they body pop without bones, whether they shuffle as a celebration, just jump, the big cheesy grin, boxing, or the backflip. I just like the standard thank you. I find that enough. Now, of course, you can go into your options. You've got basic options there. For game style, you can change the rules of different games, how long the rounds last, mines, that kind of thing, how often the weapon crates and that drop. You can even change how often, like what weapons you start with, and how many of them you get, and even what turn they arrive on. As you can see here, there are 2 here that are locked because I haven't unlocked them yet. And that's under here. As I said, you just use the coins to unlock those. And how do you get the coins? Well, simply put, you go into play, under single player, you go into the campaign. And the campaign is a load of missions across the different themes. So you can see the first one is sort of a New Yorker Bronx theme. Then you go up into a medieval theme. Then it looks like American football or athletics after that. Then it's the dig site, planets, and then back through. And you do these missions, and depending on the speed and how well you do in those missions, how many of your worms survive, you come out with a certain amount of coins. Now, these are great fun little missions, and they're very, very easy to do. I'll do the first one just to kind of showcase how this all works again, and just because I quite like playing Worms 2, and I want to showcase the game as much as I can, and I just want to showcase another game. So tough, you're watching me play a second one. Of course you can. Skip ahead, this is YouTube. I'm kind of hoping you don't. So here we are, into the concrete jungle, and we start off. And you'll see that this one, I've got my full team of 4 up against a couple of teams of much lower, much more injured worms almost. So I'm just going to drop a landmine down on this guy. And move out of the way. That's explosion might knock me into the water. Yes, it did, because I'm an idiot. There we are, Captain Benzie goes in search of Atlantis. Oops. But I do kill the enemy worm. Yada yada yada. Down he goes. It's going to be their turn now. Let's see. New Yorkers are about to take their turn. And when I'm doing this, you can actually hear they have a Bronx accent because it's one of the different voices that they have for worms. Decent shot at NetEase, but misses. Redwood versus Stocks from Wall Street, the Wall Street team. with 30 damage. Again, a landmine's enough. I don't really want to use the dynamite if I don't have to, so I'm just going to pull back to safety here. Boom! Bye-bye stocks. That should be 30 damage to him. Him out of the way, and a little bit of damage to Redwood there. Yep, down he goes. Pop. New Yorkers are about to take their turn. Let's see what they're going to do now. I'm just picking them off one by one. Taxi. Break a leg, Taxi. It's a worm, he doesn't have legs. That's what makes it so funny. Fairly good shot. Unfortunately, a bit of scenery in the way. Right. Let's see what I can do in my turn. There we go. Now, of course, this is campaign. This is the first mission of the campaign. Of course, it's going to be fairly easy. Not overly dangerous. What do you expect? It's, you know, it's the first mission. But, okay, let's get a homing missile into place on this guy here. We're going to place that there. I'm going to aim it upwards and backwards to give it the maximum amount of time to lock on. There we go. Hopefully into the water. Into the water. Taxi floats away. And that's the first mission. Nice and simple. You'll have a different map for yours, and you see when I do this again, you don't get new coins for it. But when the first time you do a mission, you get those new coins for it, and you can customize your team accordingly. Now, there is multiplayer as well. You can hot seat game, which is amazingly good fun. That means that you and people in the same room as you set this up. You add your different teams to the roster here, and you just pass the game around. You can have CPU, you can change all the different rules up here at the top. Basically, it means that I do my turn, and then I pass it to the person to my left, or whoever, and their team, and just the 3 of you, 4 of you, however many players you've got, can all play on one phone. That's an incredible use for mobile gaming. You're sitting there at a party, you're bored out of your brackets because they're playing terrible music, and you pull out worms and play a game against each other. There is also the network as well, so you can enter a game name, put it up and host it as a server. Other people can come join you as well. There are also achievements, which is something you don't see nearly often enough in mobile games on Google Play. I'm always very glad to see that. And you've got things like practice matches, the body count. There's a lot going on in this game, a lot to unpack, and I'm not going to go into too much depth now. I've already showcased 2 games. Worms, it's Worms. It is crazy military party action, turn-based mayhem. It's a great way to make friends, it's a great way to lose friends, and I cannot recommend it enough. How does this do as a port? Graphically, it's perfect. It is pixel perfect to how the original Worms were. Controls do flutter a little bit. As I said, I don't like the fact that jump is so easy to accidentally tap. I have to really think when I'm taking my turn so that I don't accidentally jump off a cliff instead of move or aim. And things like that, but otherwise they work pretty well. The menus are all nice and easy to navigate. It's clean, it's simple. Price point, as I said, it's about $4, and for me, $4 for this is a steal. I wholeheartedly recommend this port. Was this hard to port? No, this is an easy sell, and 100% I would press gang you into trying this one out. Alright, well that about covers everything I want to say regarding Worms 2 Armageddon. Did you ever play this back on PC or PlayStation back in the day when it first came out? What were your thoughts on the game back then? Have you tried out the Android port of it? Do you agree with what I said, or did you have problems with it? Let me know your thoughts, comment section below, various different social medias. Anyway, thanks for watching folks, happy sailing, and see you on the battlefield.